2022 Mathematics Paper 2, Higher Tier. Answer all questions. You must show all your working. And the total mark for this paper is 80. The scatter graph shows information about the amount of rainfall in millimeters and the number of hours of sunshine of 10 English towns on the same day. Number of hours of sunshine on the y-axis, the amount of rainfall on the x-axis. One of the points is an outlier. Write down the coordinates of this point. The coordinate is 2, 1. The outlier is the point I've highlighted there in yellow. 2 to the right, 1 up. That is the only point which is far away from all the other points. That's why it is an outlier. Part B, ignoring the outlier, describe the relationship between the amount of rainfall and the number of hours of sunshine. It is a negative correlation. As the amount of rainfall decreases, the number of hours of sunshine increases. So it's a negative correlation. On the same day in another English town, there were 7 hours of sunshine. Using the scatter graph, estimate the amount of rainfall in this town on this day. I'm going to show you how to do that on the scatter graph. And your answer should be between 3 to 4 millimeters. So on the scatter graph, you go to number of hours of sunshine, you choose 7, and you go straight down where you meet the line of best fit, You draw a line coming down, and that point there, the amount of rainfall is 3 millimeters. That's all of question 1. Question number 2. The front elevation and the plan of a solid are shown on the grid. On the grid, draw the side elevation of the solid from the direction of the arrow. That is the arrow there. So I've divided into 3 different layers. So you can see there's number 5 there is 1 layer. Number 3 and 4 is another layer. And number 1 and 2 is another layer. So 1, 2, 3 layers with 3 different colors. The plan is what you see, the view from above. The view from above is the plan. So when you look from above, that gives you the plan. And you would see 1, 2, 3, which covers that 1, 2, 3. And you would see 1, 2, 3, 4, which covers that 1, 2, 3, 4. When you look from above. Now, this is how we're going to draw it. When you're looking from the side, 1, 2, you will see these 2 there. 1, 2. The next thing you will see 1, 2, this next 2, 1, 2. And then the last layer, 1. So when you're looking from the side, so you'll see 1, 2, the next 2, and then this 1. So the side view, side elevation is 5 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 wide, 1, 2, 3, because it is 1, 2, 3 there from the plan. Question number 3. Here are the first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence. 7, 13, 19, 25, 31, 5 of them. Find an expression in terms of n for the n term of this sequence. So you write down the formula for the n term. dn plus a minus d. The way I remember it, I think of the word dat, D-A-D. And then I have the n and then the plus and the minus. So what does d represent? D is the difference. 13 take away 7 is 6. 19 take away 13 is 6. So the difference is 6. so I put D as 6. A represents the first one, which is 7, so I write 7. And the difference there is 6. So I replace those numbers there. And then 7 minus 6, it gives you 1. So the n term is 6n plus 1. And you can check if it is correct. Try the third term. Put 3 there. 6 times 3 plus 1. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19, which gives you 19, the third term. The n term of a different sequence is 8 minus 6n. It's minus 58, a term of this sequence. You must show how you get your answer. This is where it's not just yes or no. You must show the working. So I've said yes, and I'll show the working. If 58 is a term, so minus 58 can come there. So that means 8 minus 6n is equals to minus 58. So we need to find out what that n is. So you want to make n the subject. We start by taking minus 6n to the right side. It becomes plus 6n. We take minus 58 to the left. It becomes plus 58. So 8 plus 58 is 66. And that is equals to 6n. We divide by 6. Opposite of times 6 or inverse of times 6 divided by 6. So n is 11. 66 divided by 6 is 11. So that's why it is yes, because this is a whole number. 11 is a whole number. And you can try it out. You start from 2, you minus 6, you get minus 4. You minus 6, you get minus 10. Minus 6, you get minus 16. You carry on until you will get to minus 58. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Question number 4. The diagram shows a plan of Jason's garden. A, B, C, O, and D, E, F, O are rectangles. CDO is a right angle triangle. AFO is a sector of a circle with center O and angle AOF is equal to 90 degrees. So what we have here is 4 different shapes. So we have the first one is a rectangle. So we call it A. It's a rectangle. And we need to find the area of A, the length times the width. We go to B. B is also a rectangle. And we need to find the area of shape B. We go to C. C is a triangle. And we need to find the area of shape C. And we go to D. D is part of a circle. It's 1/4 of a circle, the part I've shaded there. We find the area of a circle divided by 4. And we add them all up. So the area of rectangle A, 7 times 11 is equal to 77. So got the area A. The area of rectangle B, 7 times 9 is 63. So the area of rectangle B is 63. The area of triangle C, half base times height, is 49.5. So the area of triangle C is 49.5. The area of 1/4 of a circle is pi radius squared divided by 4. I've put the formula to find the area of a circle on the top right there. That's the circle there. The area formula is pi radius squared. And pi is 3.142. So the area of that will be 38.4. And then the total area of the 4 sections. So add all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Add all of them, you get 227.98. The number of bags needed. So we divide 227.98 divided by 14 because there's 14 meters squared that each bag covers. So 227.98 divided by 14, it gives us 16.28. but we cannot buy 0.28 of a bag, so we buy 17 bags. And each bag costs £10.95, and we want to buy 17. So 10 times 7, £10.95 times 17. It gives us £186.15. Number 5, work out the value of X. X is that side there in centimeters. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So the first thing we want to do is to label the sides of the triangle. And if that's the angle there, that is the opposite. And the one next to it is the adjacent. So what we do now is we want to find the adjacent, and we know hypotenuse. So we choose the one with A and H. And the one with A and H is the cosine. We choose that. So that means cosine of 53 degrees is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which the adjacent is the X and the hypotenuse is 14.5. Now we take 14.5 to the left. So X is 14.5 times cos 53. It gives us 8.73 to 3 significant figure. Don't forget that. That's very common mistake, to 3 significant figure. Question number 6. Ella invests £7,000 for 2 years in an account paying compound interest. In the first year, the rate of interest is 3%. In the second year, the rate of interest is 1.5%. Work out the value of Ella's investment at the end of 2 years. So we need to find the multiplier for both years. To get the multiplier, you add, because it's an increase, so you add 100. So 3 plus 100, and you divide by 100. Times, for the second year, you add 1.5 and divide by 100. So that gives you the multiplier is 1.04545. When you multiply that with 7,000, it gives you 7,318.15. Question number 7. Here is the graph of y equals to x squared minus 6x plus 4. So it's a U-shaped graph. So we look at where it crosses the x-axis. It crosses at 0.7, at 5.2, and at 3. It crosses at 5.2 and 0.7. The minimum value is 3 and minus 5. You read the coordinates 3 and come down minus 5. And it crosses the y-axis at 4.04. So if I zoom in, you see there it crosses the y-axis. So that point there is 0, 4. When I zoom in, you will see it crosses the x-axis at that 0.7 there. So the question says, write down the y-intercept of the graph of y equals x squared minus 6x plus 4. The y-intercept is at that point 0.4. Let's go 4 there. Write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph is 3 and minus 5. And use the graph to find an estimate for the roots is 0.7 and 5.2. That's the graph showing all those answers there. That 4 is that point there. 3 minus 5 is that coordinate there. 0.7 is the root there. And 5.2 is the root there. Question number 8. Chanda buys a necklace for £120. He sells the necklace for £135. Work out her percentage profit. The profit is given by the difference divided by the original amount and times 100%. So 135 minus 120 divided by the original is 120 and times 100. That gives you 12.5%. And here is a formula It's a profit percentage formula, which you can try and learn it for your exam. The profit is the selling price minus the cost price. And percentage profit, or profit percentage, is that profit divided by the cost price times 100. So remember, the cost price there, it goes underneath what they call original price, and then times 100 to change it to percentage. So try and learn that formula, help you with other questions in the exams. Here are the equations of two straight lines. Y equals to half x minus 6, and 6y equals to 3x plus 7. Oscar says that these lines are parallel. Is Oscar correct? You must give a reason for your answer. What does parallel mean, and how do we show it? So let's work out the gradient for both lines. So for the second line, we want to make y the subject. So we divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6. So it would be 3 divided by 6, 7 divided by 6, and then here it will just be y, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. So 3 divided by 6 is a half, and plus 7 over 6. So we look at the gradient. The gradient is a half for the first one, and the gradient is a half for the second one. So the gradient of the two lines are the same. So the answer is yes, the two lines are parallel. So for example, these two lines are parallel. The red line and the green line, they are parallel. They never meet each other. So that 2 there, 2 there. So the gradient is 2. The same gradient for both lines. So what is different is that y-intercept. So the two lines are parallel, the same gradient. Question number 10. Aliyah bought a car. In the first year after she bought the car, its value depreciated at a rate of 23% per annum. In the second year after she bought the car, its value depreciated at a rate of 19% per annum. At the end of the second year, the car was worth £10,914.75. What was the value of the car when Aliyah first bought it? So we need to find a combined multiplier for both of them. So we have, to first multiplier, we have 23%. So 100 minus 23, because it's depreciating, is going down, divided by 100, it gives you 0.77. For the next year, 100 minus 19, divided by 100, 0.81. So multiply those two together, 0.77 times 0.81, 0.6237 is the multiplier. So we want to get the original price. So it's that new price divided by 0.6237. It gives you 17,500. So if you learn this formula, it will help you. The one in the middle, you can rearrange it to get the other ones, or you learn the top one. So the new value divided by that percentage multiplier, it gives you the original value. You just need to learn one of them, and then you rearrange it, you get the other ones. Question number 11. In an experiment, 60 students each completed a puzzle. The cumulative frequency graph shows information about the times taken for the 60 students to complete the puzzle. So 60 on the y-axis there at the top, cumulative frequency on the y-axis, time taken on the x-axis. For these 60 students, the least time taken was 24 seconds. The greatest time taken was 96 seconds. On the grid below, draw a box plot for the distribution of the times taken by the students. So zooming into the diagram, it goes from 0 all the way to 60. Half of 60 is 30. So 60 divided by 2 is 30. So we put a straight line, the blue line, down to the curve and come down, it gets 54. So 54 is the midpoint or the median. Now, if we divide 30 divided by 2, it gives us 15. So we'll put a line at 15 to the curve and come down, we get 42. 42 is the lower quartile. If we divide the upper half between 60 and 30, the number is 45. And we put a line, we come down, we get 64. 64 is the upper quartile. So we mark those on the diagram. The minimum value is 24, which we mark there, 24, the minimum. The maximum value is 96, which we mark there, 96. The lower quartile is 42, which we mark here, lower quartile. The upper quartile is 64, which we mark here. And the median is 54. This is what a general box and whisker plot looks like. It has a minimum value. It has a maximum value. It has a lower quartile, which is sometimes called Q1. It has an upper quartile, which is sometimes called Q3. And then the median. And then the lower quartile, the difference between the lower quartile and the upper quartile, Q1 and Q3, is called the interquartile range. It's Q3 minus Q1. So that distance there is called the interquartile range. Question number 12. The number of insects in a population at the start of the year is P sub n. The number of insects in the population at the start of year n plus 1 is P subscript n plus 1. So P subscript n plus 1 is equal to K times Pn. Given that K has a constant value of 1.13, find out how many years it takes for the number of insects in the population to double. You must show how you get your answer. So we want Pn plus 1 is equals to K is 1.13 Pn. So you want it to be doubled, to be bigger than 2. So you want 1.13 to the power n to be bigger than 2. And you can solve that. That would be if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. On the 6th year, when n is equals to 6, that's when it will be bigger than 2, it will be 2.08. On the 5th year, it's 1.86, 1.84. So it's on the 6th year, that's bigger than 2. The value of K actually increases year on year from its value of 1.13 in year 1. How does this affect your answer to part A? So it would decrease, or the number of years will go down, or we can't tell as we don't know how much it is increasing by, or it will be an overestimate. So you can choose one of those and use. Number 13, A and B are points on a centimeter grid. A is a point with coordinate -7.6, and B is the point with coordinate 8-5. Work out the length of AB. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So we can use Pythagoras' theorem. I've put it in there with the formula. A squared plus B squared equals to C squared. So you mark the points -7.6 on the graph and 8-5. You join the points with a straight line and complete a right angle triangle. That's 90 degrees there. So this distance is 11 and this one is 15. So to find the length AB using Pythagoras, it's 11 squared plus 15 squared, and square root of that, it gives you 18.6. So 18.6 is the length of AB. Another way to do it is to use the Pythagoras formula, which you got -5 minus 6 all squared plus 8 minus -7 all squared. You will still get the same 11 squared plus 15 squared, you get 18.6. Question number 14. Use algebra. Prove that 1.06 with a dot on the 2 recurring can be written as 1 and 14 over 225. So we start by writing let x be 1.062 with the 2 recurring. We multiply by 10. 10 times x, when you multiply that by 10, you get 10.622. That's the 2 is recurring. You multiply by 100, it becomes 100x is 106.222 recurring. Now we subtract it. This is equation 2, that's equation 1. So we get equation 2 minus 1. So you put them in a straight line. Make sure everything is in a straight line. That's the key here, so that you can subtract them properly. Everything is in a straight line. So 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 minus 6 is not possible. You get 110 from there, it becomes 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. And you're left with 5. 5 minus 0 is 5. And here is 1 comes 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So you go 95.6. And then 100 minus 10 is 90. 90 times x. So to get x, you divide by 90. And when you divide by 90, you will get that which you can change to what makes number 1 and 14 over 225. Question 15. Faiza is studying the population of rabbits in the park. She wants to estimate the number of rabbits in the park. On Monday, she catches a random sample of 20 rabbits in the park, marks mark each rabbit and a tag with a tag, releases them back into the park. On Tuesday, she catches a random sample of 42 rabbits in the park. 12 of the rabbits are marked with a tag. Find an estimate for the number of rabbits in the park. So we can use this formula on the right-hand side there. I'll put it there for you. Small n estimates the number, the population size. Capital N is the population size. And capital M, the number of animals marked. Arrow, the number of animals captured. And the number of arrows that are already marked. So there were 12 that were captured and marked, which were marked and then captured. And then there were 42 captured altogether. And you catch 20 in the random sample and you want to find n. So to solve this equation, you can cross multiply. 20 times 42 is equal to 12 times n. So n would be, take times 12 to the other side, it becomes divide. N would be 70. Albie is studying the population of rabbits in a wood. One day he catches 55 rabbits and finds that 40 of these rabbits are marked with a tag. Albie estimates there are 50 rabbits in the wood. Explain why Albie's estimate cannot be correct. The sample size cannot be greater than the population. So, the population is greater than the sample size. There are more than 50 rabbits. He catches 55 rabbits. So these are different reasons that you can use, and they will all give you the mark. Question number 16. The shaded region shown in the grid is bounded by 4 straight lines. Find 4 inequalities that define the shaded region. So we have the shaded region there. We need to find the equation for the 4 lines. So we start with this top line there, y is equals to 6. And the reason is that point is 6, 0. So that point there is 0, 6. This point there is 2, 6. This point there is 4, 6. So they all end in 6. That's why we call it y equals to 6. And this line there, this one is called x equals to minus 3. So this point is minus 3, 0. This point is minus 3, 2. This point is minus 3, 4. This point is, sorry, this one is minus 3, 6. They all start with minus 3. So we call it x equals to minus 3. For this line, y equals to 3x plus 6, it passes at the y-intercept is 6, and the gradient is 3, and you can work it out using this triangle. 2, and then 6. 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and that's how we got the gradient of 3. For this other one, it passes at 1 there. So that's how we got the 1. The intercept is 1. And the gradient, it would be, we can pick a triangle, which would be easier to work with. This one, this little triangle there. We got 2 there, 1 there. Gradient is 1 divided by 2. And the line, because the line is sloping downwards, it should be negative minus 1 over 2. Minus 1 over 2x plus 1. So that gradient is minus 1 over 2x plus 1. So for the lines, we start with the one in green, which is the y equals to 3x plus 6. We want the part which is bigger than, which is above, and so 1 greater than or equals to, because it's a solid line. So 1 greater than or equals to, because it's a solid line. If it's a dotted line, it will be greater than. It's a solid line. The next one, we want it to be bigger than or equals to minus 3. So we want, that's the line x equals to minus 3. We want it to be on the right side. So we want it to be bigger than or equals to minus 3. For the next line, we want it to be bigger than or equals to minus a half x plus 1. So that side. And for the other, the last line, the y equals to 6, we want it to be smaller than, less than. So where do all of them meet? All of them meet in that box there, that shaded part. Question number 17. The diagram shows 2 similar solid triangular prisms, A and B. The volume of prism A is 58.806. The volume of prism B is 1,587.762. The cross section of each prism is a right angle triangle. The shaded part is all triangle, right angle triangle. For prism B, the length of the base of the triangle is 8.1 and the area is 43.74. The height of the triangle for a prism is h. Work out the value of h. So we want to find the volume scale factor. So the volume scale factor would be the volume of B divided by volume of A. It gives you 27. So the volume scale factor is equals to 27. Now we want to find the height of B. So area is half times base times height. So we can rearrange it to get the height is 2 times area divided by B. So we know to find height of A, volume scale factor is the length scale factor cube. So length scale factor, the opposite of cube, the inverse of cube is cube root. So length scale factor is the cube root of volume scale factor. What's the cube root of 27? What number do you multiply by itself to get 27? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So the cube root of 27. And then the height of A is given by the height of B divided by the cube root of 27. So 10.8 divided by the cube root of 27, it gives you 3.6. Question number 18. Here is a triangle. Work out the area of the triangle. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. The triangle is not a right angle triangle. We're giving the angle in the middle and we're giving 2 sides. So we use this formula I've put on the right-hand side there. Area of a triangle is half times A times B times sine of the angle between the 2 sides. So the angle is in the middle, the 2 sides are there. So half times 11.2 times 4.3 times sine 118. Put that in your calculator, you get the area to be 21.3. Number 19, solve 6x squared plus 5x minus 6 equals to 0. We can do it by factorizing, or you can use the quadratic formula, but I'll do it by factorizing. We do 6 times 6, it gives me 36. I find the factors of 36. 1 times 36 is 36. 4 times 9 is 36. Right, I will stop there because I can use 4 and 9 to split that 5. 5 is the same as 9 take away 4. So what we can do is we can split that 5 into 2. So we got 4 and 9. So we change the 5x to minus 4x plus 9x. Because 9x minus 4x is 5x. Now we've got 1, 2, 3. We have changed it to 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can pair this and pair this and factorize. So 6 is the same as 2 times 3. 4 is the same as 2 times 2. So 2 is common. 2 is common. We take 2 out and they take 1x out. So you're left with 3x minus 2. And for the next one, 9 is the same as 3 times 3. And 6 is the same as 3 times 2. So you take 3 out, 3 out. You're left with 3x, and then you're left with 2. Now, what is common there is 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2. So you factorize again. So you take 3x minus 2, you're left with 2x, and you're left with 3. Don't forget the plus sign. So either 3x minus 2 is equals to 0, the first one, or 2x plus 3 is equals to 0. Solve this first one. 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Minus 2 goes to the right, it becomes plus 2. And times 3 goes to the right, it becomes divided by 3. So x is equals to 2 divided by 3. And 2x plus 3 equals to 0. Plus 3 goes to the right, it becomes minus 3. And times 2 goes to the right, it becomes divided by 2. So your two answers, x equals to minus 3 over 2 and x equals to 2 over 3. Question number 20. We have a cuboid. AD is 9. That's AD there is 9. FD is 13. So we level FD there 13. Angle GHF is 49. GHF is, that's H there, that's G there, that's F there. The angle is 49. Work out the size of angle FAH. FAH, we want that angle there, FAH, the angle in blue. Give your answer correct to the nearest degree. So we're going to work out the sides for the triangle where we need and then use that triangle. So let's start by finding AF. AF is that height there. We use Pythagoras. Using this triangle, 13 squared minus 9 squared and square root of that, it gives us 2 root 22 or root 88, and that is AF. So that's the first thing, find AF. And we're going to use trigonometry to find FH. So FH is this diagonal line across, down at the bottom there, FH. And we know one side is 9, and we know an angle is 49. So we use FH is 9 divided by cos 49, which will give you 13.7. And tangent of FAH is opposite over adjacent. The opposite is 13.7, the adjacent is 9.38. And inverse tangent of that gives you 56 degrees. And I've put the formula for SOHCAHTOA down there for you to use to help you. Question number 21. The graph below gives the volume in liters of water in a container T seconds after the water starts to fill the container. That's the volume, and that's the time. Calculate an estimate for the gradient of the graph when T is equal to 17.5. You must show how you get your answer. So they say the time is 17.5. So we go to the graph and mark 17.5. We will go straight up to where it touches the curve. And that's where you draw your tangent. And then you would have a triangle. See the triangle I put now in blue. It touches at that one point there, that's 17.5. And you have that tangent, and you draw the triangle. You work out the height of the triangle. The height of that triangle is 18.5. And this base of the triangle, 25 minus 7.5, it gives you 17.5. So that's 17.5. So how do we work out the gradient? Is the rise over the run. So the gradient is given by that 18.5 divided by that 17.5. The vertical height of the triangle divided by the horizontal height of the horizontal length of the triangle. And that'll give you 1.057, which you can write it as 1.06. And this is the formula for gradient I've put there if you were to get numbers. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And we use M for gradient, for symbol for gradient. Describe fully what the gradient in part A represents. Because it is the Y part divided by the X part, the gradient is what is on the Y-axis is the volume in liters. It's the time in seconds. So volume in liters from the Y-axis, time in seconds from the X-axis. So it's the liters per second. O, because it has to do with time, it has to do with rate of change of volume. How fast or the rate of change of volume. So this is a gradient slope formula which I wanted you to have so that you can remember it. It helps you to remember what's in yellow there. Questions. So when you want to find the gradient, you put the Y2 value minus the Y1 value divided by X2 value minus the X1 value. That gives you the gradient. Or you can draw a triangle on the diagram and work out the rise divided by the run. Very important to be able to find gradient. That's question 22. And I want us to find H inverse of X. So question 22, we have f of x, we have g of x. So h of x is fg of x. How do we get fg of x? Whatever we have for g of x, we put it in f. So g of x is 2x plus 3. So we take 2x plus 3 and replace x there. So what that means is a 2x of 3 would go in there under the square root sign. And you have 2x plus 3 cube root. And that is what we call our h of x. Now, to find inverse, we change that h of x and write it as y. It's easier. After we make x the subject, we can swap the x and y. So we want to make x the subject. We take the inverse of cube root. It means cube on the other side. Or what we can say is cube both sides. Not squared, cube both sides. And this cube would cancel with that, and this would be left with y cube. Now we want to remove plus 3. Plus 3 goes to the left, comes minus 3. After that, I want to remove times 2. Times 2 goes to the left, it becomes divided by 2. So we got x on its own. Now we can swap x and y. So you now have y equals to x cubed minus 3 over 2. And that y now is our h inverse of x. Question number 23. A race is measured to have a distance of 10.6 kilometers, correct to the nearest 0.1 kilometers. Sam runs the race in a time of 31 minutes 48 seconds, correct to the nearest second. Sam's average speed in this race is v kilometers per hour. By considering bounds, calculate the value of v to suitable degree of accuracy. You must show all your working and give a reason for your answer. Let's start with 10.6. We have 10.6 there, kilometers. To the nearest 0.1. So if we would have upper bound would be 10.65 and the lower bound would be 10.55. You can round that to 10.6, and if it's less than, you round that to 10.6. Now let's go and deal with the time. It's 31 minutes 47.5 seconds. You can round that to, the question gives us 31 minutes, 48 seconds. So let's keep the 31 minutes the same for all of them. 48 seconds, what can we round to 48 seconds? 47.5 seconds, we round it to 48 seconds. And 48.5 seconds or less than, we round it to that 48 seconds. So that will be 31 minutes, 47.5 seconds, and that will be 31 minutes, 48.5 seconds. Now we want to change everything to hours. 31 minutes to hours, we divide by 60. 31 minutes divided by 60, that will give you hours. 47.5 seconds to hours, you divide by 60 times 60. So 47.5 divided by 60 times 60, change it to hours. 31 minutes to change it to hours, you divide by 60. 48.5 seconds to hours, you divide by 60 times 60. So when you do that and add those two together, you get 0.5298611 hours, 0.530501388 hours. So when you have the hours, you want to find the upper bound for the speed. You use upper bound for distance over lower bound for time. Upper bound for distance is 10.65, and then the lower bound for time. And that gives you 20.099. So it's 20 to 2 significant figure. The lower bound of the speed is the lower bound of distance divided by upper bound of time. 10.55 divided by 0.53. And that gives you 19.90. So to 2 significant figure is 20. So you notice it's 20 and 20 there. So the answer is 20, correct to 2 significant figures. So that's what the whole question and answer looks like. I've put here some information on how to find the upper and lower bounds. You have the degree of accuracy specified, add to the upper bound, and then you subtract from the lower bound. And then find the lower and upper bound of 450 to the nearest 10. So you do half of 10 is 5, and then you add the 5 to 450, and you subtract the 5 from 450. That's how you do that. For this one, find the lower and upper bound of 5.7 to 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place is 0.1. 0.1, you do half of it, is 0.05. So you add 0.05 to 5.7, and you subtract it from 5.7. That gives you the upper and the lower bound. That's how you do it. And this is another example for you to find lower bound and upper bound. Question number 24. A circle has equation x squared plus y squared equals to 12.25. The point P lies on the circle. The coordinates of P are 2.1, 2.8. The line L is the tangent to the circle at point P. Find an equation of L. Give your answer in the form ax plus by equals to c. That's the general equation of a circle. So if h is 0 and k is 0, that means the circle is at the center there. At that point there, that's where the circle would be. So the key to this type of question is to draw a large diagram. So I've drawn a large diagram. I've worked out the radius of the circle. Square root of 12.25 is 3.5. So the radius is 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. So I've drawn a circle with radius 3.5. And the center is 0, 0. And the line passes at 2.1, 2.8, that point there, the pink line. We want to find the equation of that line. To find the equation of a line, you need to have the gradient m, and you need to find the intercept c. So we need to find two things, m and c. So we need to find the gradient of this radius, and then we'll be able to find the gradient of the pink line by inverting it. So the gradient of the radius, we know the center and we know that coordinate. So we use the gradient of the radius will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that gives us 4 over 3. And then to find the gradient of the tangent, that's the pink line, is with negative reciprocal of 4/3. So minus 1/4/3, it gives you minus 3/4. So equation of every line is y equals to mx plus c. So we'll know y is 2.8, x is 2.1. So y is 2.8, x is 2.1, and we found m to minus 3/4. So we now need to find c. We substitute 2.8 minus 3/4, 2.1, and we find the value for c. And when we rearrange that, we will get the value for c is 35/8. Now we put it all in the equation is y is equal to minus 3/4x plus 35/8. To get rid of this 8 in the denominator, we multiply it by the biggest 8, multiply by 8, multiply by 8 there. So we got 8y, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, so minus 6 there. This 8 will cancel, you're left with 35. So we can put everything to one side. We can take the minus 6x to the left, it becomes plus 6x, and leave the 35 on the right. So 6x plus 8y equals to 35. So that means A is 6, B is 8, and C is 35. So that's question 24.